2650 TBS and stage 1.5 trim. How's everybody doing? It's one of them cold starts that y'all like. Yeah, we've added a little bit of exhaust. We've added some little bullet resonators, trying to knock down some of the drone from the exhaust system. You know, I wasn't looking for a lot of sound reduction, just a little control of tone. I believe I achieved it, you know, for as cheap as possible, $30 a piece for the little bullets off of Amazon, and I already have the MBR PCAT back. I wanted to go for a Dynamax True X, but I wasn't, which is dual 3-inch inlet outlet that X's over inside the muffler, but I really need to do some measurements first to see if that would fit. And I just thought in the interim, in the short term, this would be the easiest solution. So how you guys doing? Well, good. It's getting close to the holidays. I hope everybody's starting to get in that festive spirit, because I'm going to tell you something that's going to surprise you. I'm in a festive spirit. I always tell my doctors, if I wake up and I get up, it's been a good day. But we're going to add something to it. If I wake up and I get up and my car starts up, it's a good day. And she's been starting up. She's been doing more than starting up. She's been rolling. We've been out doing a little testing, and really all I'm doing today is putting some miles on it. Just breaking it in, giving her a little bit of an easy time, doing some Sunday driving, as some people might call it, and testing out the new exhaust system. And today's subject I want to talk to you about is pretty, it's simple, but it's not. It's going to take a lot of time to really do a deep dive into it. However, what I'd like to talk about is the Gen 3 cars, 18 and up cars, with the supercharger systems, with and actually 15, 17, you know, on back, just basically supercharger systems, what we refer to as a safe tune. You always hear them referred to as, you know, what can I get out of this car, you know, with the safe tune? And I believe that's a bit of a misnomer, because believe it or not, these manufacturers are not sitting around here trying to figure out what to do not to break the engine. It's more incumbent upon them to make sure they pass emissions in the car. And what's good for that isn't always good for the engine. So I just want to talk about that a little bit. A safe tune. Well, you know, I disagree that a lot of these tunes out here that are coming from vendors, and no one in particular, all of them, aren't exactly what you would refer to as a safe tune. If you look at Lebanon Ford Performance, they've quit offering the Whipple tune. The ProCharger has its own tune. They will not sell you a car with a ProCharger tune on it. I won't say who they're using, because they're not my people. But point being is, there's a difference between a safe tune and a correct tune. And safety, safety in the term is how they use it, doesn't necessarily equate to what us as consumers, as individuals, as purchasers equate it to be. We equate safe tune to mean, you know, it's going to live, it's going to last the longest. None of that's necessarily true. An engine runs most efficiently when it has unrestricted access to air, and that air, once it has complete combustion, has unrestricted access to atmosphere, which is out your exhaust. But is that carb compliant? Is that emissions compliant? No. That's why everybody that might possibly come across this video knows what a catalytic converter is. Long ago, back pressure myths have been dispelled, and I'm not saying that a little bit of back pressure is not, you know, a bad thing, but, you know, not like it was put to us in the magazine. So I'm here to say, in my opinion, having done all and suffered both the consequences of safe tunes and the highs of a good tune, to me a safe tune and a safe loadout in general, and knock on wood, she's holding pretty good, and she's moving pretty good. She's moving pretty good. To me, a safe tune attempts to balance the amount of power that the hard parts in the engine can sustain, coupled with the ability for the combustion chamber and the ignition system with the cams, with all the variables that go into it, to induct air at whatever rate or boost that might be, completely combust it and completely expel it on that cycle, where you aren't backing up on the exhaust side, diluting the incoming intake charge, where you aren't pulling so much timing that and adding so much fuel that you actually drive up EGT's, exhaust gas temperatures, and as a result drive up the combustion temperature, and as a result, especially at shift, drive up cylinder pressure, knock out spark on the spark plugs, you name it. But it all boils down to cylinder pressure. Too much cylinder pressure in the moment while you get it. To me, a safe tune, safe for the engine, safe for the consumer, is one that identifies the efficiency sweet spots in that engine and the durability of the components the engine's made with, and the clearances, and attempts to land somewhere in what I refer to as a tuning window. For instance, the tuning window on my big block Chevy with 2618 pistons and total seals AP stainless steel gapless top rings, which I basically have gapped to infinity because they're gapped to 1500 horsepower, but they have an interlocking top ring set that really sets them at 0 gaps, so I can run 17 psi, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're starting with 700 horsepower, that's a lot of power. And I don't even need a catch can. I just got breathers in there at 0 blow by, none, 0 after 4 years. That engine's seen 7,500. It's been over boosted. It's been run lean. I don't even use an intercooler on it. In the winter, this time of year, I use 87 octane gas in it. And I've had the meth pump quit on me twice. Once in the winter on 87, and once, not quite the heat of the summer, but in my IET curves picked that one up. But that head on that engine has a combustion chamber that's designed in naturally aspirated form to work at a particular timing well. And some of your LS, which is a fast burn design, you know, picked up from the original LTs and Vortec heads, you know, each one of these, and then you can, you know, now with our Coyotes and our 4 valves and stuff, there's a naturally aspirated timing at which the engine likes to, it's efficient, it's in its zone. Just for a reference, let's just reference almost every Chevrolet engine ever made. Some of your open chamber big block Chevy heads, I mean, I've run as much as 41 degrees naturally aspirated and still picking up higher, still picking up mile per hour too. But that's lower compression, open chamber, turn them up a little bit. But anyway, not big inch, not by today's standard, like 496s. But let's say, for argument's sake, that's 32 degrees. If you're putting an amount of boost on that requires you to pull that 32 degrees down to 8, and the AFR from this wondrous DI injection that we have now that allows us to run our combustion process more efficiently, so efficiently that when a cylinder goes out, you can oil down a spark plug and the DI will blow the oil off one side of it, clear it off, and it'll stop misfiring. Ask me how I know. I'll put a picture up of that sometime. Maybe I'll try to dig it up for this video, but anyway, mind blower. wouldn't fire at idle, wouldn't fire off idle, stumble like any car that's down 4 cylinders would, and you get 2,700 RPM, all of a sudden the DI is knocking all the oil off the plugs and it just clean right up with 90 PSI cylinder pressure. Nuts. Anyway, you take that 30, let's say 30, 31 degrees, and you suck it all the way down to 8, and then you just throw a ton of fuel in it, trying to keep the combustion chambers, you know, happy. Well, that's fine, but then you got them cats to deal with, and they don't like it. And you start melting cats, you start backing up from there, and the second you have back pressure coming outside the exhaust track of the engine, the second that you don't have a complete combustion cycle, the second that you have not completely evacuated that cylinder on the exhaust stroke before the next intake stroke occurs, you're diluting the incoming intake charge, and when you do that, you're dropping the octane rating of the fuel that's going in it, and I don't give a damn if it's MS-109. So if you don't have enough exhaust going out, a free-flowing exhaust, as someone likes to say all the time, then it doesn't matter what your octane is, you're just going to prolong it. You are going to hit detonation. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. At what RPM, how much air are you moving in to do that? So then you like to use the terminology, sometimes you got to go slower to be faster. And I think this is a perfect case here. So what we've done with the Velocity Raptor 3.0 is we have slowed down the amount of air that's getting shoved into the engine. All right, that automatically takes load off the exhaust. Now, I'm not doing a deep dive into cam timings and stuff because I'm not familiar enough with the double overhead cams and the way that they phase versus RPM to feel like I can make a video on it. I have a basic understanding based on my 30 years of doing it with a single cam, but I don't feel like by no means any kind of authority, and I'd feel a little disingenuous if I even begin to talk to you about it. But let's just assume that both stock safe tunes from vendors and tunes from Lund Racing all have a different idea how to modulate your cams for dynamic compression changes. Well, you have static and you have dynamic compression. We can change the I mean, I don't know exactly what they're doing on the scale on the table, but I know for sure these cams are moving around to make power in different RPM ranges, and that they can also be moved around to add or decrease cylinder pressure at certain RPMs as needed, which adds or decreases power. And you could also look at it as protection as well. My God, what a beautiful day it is. You guys see where I live. God. And I love this 10-speed. So anyway, when you got a hyper-eutectic piston at 12 to 1 on 93 octane, that tuning window that's on my big block Chevy that's big enough to drive a damn Mack truck through is a little bitty tiny window. And if you got the right tuner and the right combination, you can push a shitload of power through this engine. Or if you beef up the internals with, say, a forged piston, open up your gaps, and maybe even have a little bit stronger rod, although I've at anything approaching same power levels, I haven't particularly seen the need for an additional rod. These Boss 302 rods, there again, I'm talking out my ass because I'm not a Ford expert, but everything that I've dug into and seen and looked at, I wouldn't be worried about adding them at 850 wheel or so. But sometimes instead of pulling all that timing out to reach a certain number of boost, to advertise a certain thing, you pull all that timing out, you throw a bunch of fuel at it, you start to get misfires. At some point, maybe the combustion chamber can't even effectively combust everything that you're doing. You're taking the engine out of its efficiency zone. So how I like to think about it, please don't run across the road, Black Cat. Not on my third engine. Thank you. Maybe that was a good sign, guys. Anyway, so the way I look at it, and I've kind of always looked at it this way, but I thought of a pithy way. Good God, you guys know I can't be pithy. If anybody's even still watching this, I'm sure you're not. Hell, it's just therapy, man. Therapy for me. I hope you get something out of it. in my opinion, especially when you're talking about stock internals, especially this engine, who has this ultra high-tech plasma bore with a hyper-eutectic piston at 12-to-1 static compression ratio on 93 octane gas. If I was approaching this from a clean slate, and I knew a little bit more about what I was doing, I would put this engine where it's happy. I wouldn't shoot for a certain horsepower, and I wouldn't pull it back to meet emissions. I would get this engine, and any tuner can tell you, when they start to look at logs, they start to play, and they start to add timing. In this case, you could even play with cam phasing. When you start to look at it, when you feel it, when you hear it, when you run it, you can start to feel where it likes to be run. In my big block, when I was trying to use timing and feeling per gear versus mile per hour and things like that to help with traction control, I could tell when it was unhappy. I could easily tell when it's unhappy, and I could tell when it's in its sweet spot. So throw horsepower out the window, and the way that you would really want to do it is start with a tune that the engine's happy with, given your fuel source and octane that you have available, given the amount of fuel that you can pump into it, and your static compression ratio, the amount of air that's being pumped into it, and the amount of air that can evacuate it. Start with a tune where the engine's happy, and you work from there. You tune and tune and tune until the engine's happy. And whatever that horsepower is just what the fuck it is. It's just like we say, and that's weird because everybody's searching for horsepower, or you're trying to pull it back for emissions. But in my opinion, if you push it too far, if you get it angry, to use the terminology that was given to me recently, if you get it angry and you go lean and you run too much timing, you're going to have problems. But you're going to have problems if you try to pull too much out of it too. You get the engine where its combustion chambers and the way it's set up naturally is operating efficiently. It's getting the air in, it's completely combusting it and getting it out, and starting a fresh cycle over again at an RPM the same. And you will have a happy engine, and that engine most likely won't be putting out everything it can put out, but it's probably within 3 to 5% of what it can put out safely. So start there. Don't start with an expectation in your head of, in my opinion, don't start with an expectation of, I'm going to make 800 to the wheel. I'm going to make 750 to the wheel. I'm going to get the engine happy. And wherever she lands, she lands. And that's what we've done this time. We've gotten the engine happy. And boy, is it paying off so far. Knock on wood. Because this baby is definitely happy. And it's definitely making more power than it was before. So here, that's a perfect instance where we have went slower to go faster. So I'm just trying to explain to you how that I feel like this car is probably at least a mid 10 second, especially if I wasn't fat. Oh shit, if I was Xander size or something like that, this car's probably run 10. I mean, I've been in a lot of cars, man. Sometimes this A10 can fool you. It's got so much power through the mid-range that it can fool you. But if you could hook what this thing's putting down right now, there's no way it's not a mid 10 second car. Absolutely no way. Or better. With a reasonable amount, I think I could do it, but with a reasonable driver that knows half-ass what he's doing, and you hook this on like a 305, 45, 17, you all know the drill. This is a mid 10 second car right now. I'm looking at the airflow going through it. Yeah, it's over 700 wheel right now. I promise you it is. And that's with 3 pounds less boost than it used to make. At least 2 pounds less than it made. So I'm real happy. The engine's real happy. I'm continuing through the failures of the engine. I'm continuing to learn more about the Coyote platform, and I went through this roller coaster, and you'll see me say it. you'll see that I've modified that the Gen 3 Coyote is a piece of junk as it comes from the factory. You notice that I denote that now, because I believe that all the changes to the block are stellar. Changes to the heads are stellar. Even the dampening of the crank, stellar. RPM, stellar. Head flow, stellar. Bigger valve, stellar. I'm not even down on the plasma bore like I was. This engine simply doesn't have the correctly matched piston to possibly, the correct selected piston in at the right clearance to possibly match the thermal expansion characteristics of the bore, period. Put a forged piston in with some of the newer coatings that are designed to conform to a plasma bore with a ring set that's designed to do it, and I bet you this engine is nothing but sweetness. And it does great on the E85 where you have, and see the thing with the E85, why does it do great on the E85? Well, 12-to-1 compression, and what you do with the E85 is you open up that tuning window. I remember guys used to do it all the time when they go to alcohol, methanol, whatever. A lot of times they would do that simply because they weren't very good at tuning their carburetors, and it's so damn forgiving. I mean, them cars would pick up and be running so much alcohol that they dilute the oil down to the point they don't have oil pressure, and that's how they knew it was time to change the oil. That's how bad out their tunes were. I mean, just blow right past the rings and just fill it up with oil. Anyway, that's an update on the Velocity Raptor. She ain't bullshitting. See, I can't do nothing. We got some tires coming in. We got some Nitto NT05s, not the R's, not a racing compound, the 200 tread wear. Nitto NT05 regular, not the R compound. So I want this transmission to live until I can afford to put clutches in it. I think it's a 305 35 19 to put on here. Yeah, I have a drag pack. I'm not putting it on there until it's time to go to the races. But this is dangerous. Yesterday it was spinning at 85 mile an hour, literally. Just started spinning and going to the other lane. I was scared to live out of it because I didn't want to dig in on the left tire. And once it dug in and catch a grip, really got out of sorts. So I just kind of had to ride it out. Anyway, I just thought I would do a video where everything's going great, because most of my videos are negative because I was pissed about 7718. I mean, come on guys, if anybody's got a right to be pissed, it's me, right? I had a knocker the first time, and then, I'm on my third engine. But I feel really good about where the car's at right now. For the last 3 days to a week, I've had the best time I've had in it since the day I bought it, which was a year to this week, last year. Yeah, see, days, what, the 11th, maybe? So, yeah, about exactly a year that I've owned this car. It's only been available for me to drive about 3 months of that year, but never has it been fun like this. I love the car. I love the 810. I love the power. The power's nuts, man. I'm telling you, this thing blow tires off at 85 mile an hour, and I've got biking double adjustables and stuff on here. So we're going to get a little bit more tire. We're going to do a little more testing. And I just wanted to get on here with nothing but positive news. Maybe talk about tuning window a little bit, and why I think that slowing down to go faster was the best option for us on 93 octane until we go to until we get serious to go to the track and either swap in some MS109, or we go put a fuel system in and go E85, which I would do in a second if there's an E85 in my actual town station, which I've petitioned. I've actually called corporate office help. I called the VP corporate office, because there's a VP station here, to see if we can get E85. I'm the type person, it's always been my pet peeve. I don't bitch about anything unless I have personally tried to solve it myself. So I've tried to get E85 in my town, but I can't. And until I can, I'll be on 93, because it's just, I don't want to be flashing tunes back and forth. If somebody comes out with a flex fuel E85 tune for a responsible customer, hit me up. I'm your boy to play with. and I can provide you HP tuner logs at high resolution. So anyway, Sean with Blue Collar Daily coming live from the Velocity Raptor, very live. Got its claws out, ready to dig into some ass. I just can't tell you, it's been a heck of a journey, man. I got a bunch of hell. It's been a bad year. But man, it looks like it's ready to turn around. And it's so easy to get negative on the car, and look how little it just takes to turn my, like, I know all y'all probably well, you probably not watching this far, but I know everybody gets tired of, you know, oh man, Sean Blue Collar, you know, he's pretty good dude, man, but he's really negative. Well, a lot of negative shit's happened to me, you know. Cut me just a little slack on that. But I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying to learn from others that are positive, even in the face of situations that should be, that most people would feel like is justified to be negative. So I'm just trying to be positive going into the new year. We got a new build on the car. We got a new engine. It is quiet as a mouse. The last two engines have been quiet. There was a revision change. We'll talk more about that later. But the last two loan blocks have been so much quieter than my first one. Way better. I mean, and that's why I'm loving the car, man. No ticks, no rattles. Power's there when I hit it. Believe it or not, the throttle's desensitized from what y'all seen a while ago. It's actually on a, what you would call a subdued tune. I'm not in sport, I'm not in drag mode, I don't have trash, you know. This thing will get with it. It will get with it. I've got a 1200 horse car at home, and it's just now is this car impressing me and living up to what I think its potential is. And I'm gonna go through a little deeper and thank everybody involved. But I'm really happy with, please God, don't blow, you know, knock on plastic. Please just let it stay together long enough for me to recover a little bit. I'm getting my core back. We're gonna build that. We're gonna have that as a spare. I imagine the transmission's probably next, because it's making enough power now that when I start putting it down, I assume the transmission's probably not going to hold. Now, am I going to go run on this tune? Am I going to go run in this configuration? Am I going to go out and run Xander or anybody? No. I'm not going to be running mid 9 seconds. But if I can get into the mid 10s, low 10s, full weight, I'm fat, all my creature comforts on like a hybrid street tire, which would be, you know, something like a, you know, NTL 5R, triple 5R, Mickey Thompson SS radial, not the R. Yeah, I realize it probably takes some suspension tweaking to get the same times everybody else is getting with the more aggressive wheel. And I do have 18 by 5.5 up front, all to get the tires on. I got 17 by 10 matching wheels for the rear. I'm waiting till right before race season to purchase the tire where it's fresh. So if it doesn't blow up again, it's going to the track. Don't worry. We're going to get the times. We're going to find out if my mid 10 second prediction as it sits right now is correct or not, because I'm not going to make any performance changes between now and then. I've got the exhaust tone down to a good compromise of sound, and hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. Y'all let me know if you can hear me, because you know that's one of the reasons why I wanted to quiet the cab down. Is first of all, it is my daily driver, and second of all, I want to be able to make videos and talk to you guys and go on daily drives. Blue Collar Daily Drive. So anyway, I just thought I'd put out a video where it's all good news, and Sean is happy, and I love my car, and I love my color, and I love this damn A10 transmission. And if she burns up, she needs clutches, I can't afford it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I can't afford it to happen right now. But if she does, I'm not gonna be pissed. If all it takes is clutches, and it don't even take hard parts for this thing to hold and go into the mid 9s and hold 10s forever, man, I'm down for it. I love this A10. I wouldn't give it up for nothing. It's the most redeeming quality of the car. We're going to have the spare block. We're going to build it. and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to put out a single positive video, because most of my videos, and just me in general, have been so negative because of everything I'm going through in my personal life, my health life, economically, with this car, with these engines, fighting everybody. It's just been a nightmare, and it really feels like everything's coming together right here toward the end of the year. I feel like we're going to turn into a good year. You guys get some information about the times. This Supercharged is a bad son of a bitch. I want y'all to realize. I want you to realize too that I have the bleeder in here that slows the rate of this Supercharger coming in, and it will absolutely insta-torque light the tires to fire, like you're in the damn burnout box rolling 20 mile an hour. It will absolutely blow them to smithereens. It will do it going 40 mile an hour. It lights off that quick, and I know if I pull that and put the one where the bypass closes all the way, that's something that people don't understand. It may make it tougher on us to use it, but there's a lot of torque to be had with this 2650 and a lot of efficiency. Blower itself has given me no trouble. Everything around it, and I believe the tune, I just believe the aggression with the amount of boost has. And I feel like we got a good motor in here. I feel like we got a good compromise with the exhaust. We got a good compromise with the amount of boost going into the engine for 93, and it's just overall a good compromise right now. 315 gears, close to a 28-inch tall tire. We're never going to hit 7th on the full power. I'm just feeling good about where things are and where things are going. So on that note, take one last little look at God's country here. If I didn't have a vehicle right behind me, I'd give you you guys know what y'all know what I do. Y'all know the reason why I got a car, and it ain't just a Sunday drive. And I like to get down on my stuff, but I like to do it. Not safe for me. It's absolutely not safe for me to get on this car. But it's safe for others. So anyway, if I don't put up another video, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year. That's embarrassing, but I'm going to leave it in here. He can have that one today.